Our sovereign has fallen.
But her rage endures.
Let us be reborn, dark and terrible. Be she from the depths of hell,
or the stars above.
She is power and glory, so shall we be.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a pretty hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. October has come again. The time of fear. The time of seasons changing. The time of nightmares. The time of some asshole ghoul taking over my supply room to film his stupid daily videos. You know, the usual. Well, 3 years of Silent Hill, 3 years of The Thing. Might as well keep that up with at least another year of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Don't know if we'll go for a third year next time we come to this, but whatever. I like talking about this franchise, and Lord knows there have been enough comics featuring Captain Christmas Sweater. Last year, we spotlighted books coming from Innovation Press, Nightmares on Elm Street. Their purpose was to basically serve as a transition between Nightmares 5 and 6, giving conclusions to the Dream Master Alice, Nancy, and basically the mostly continuous story of the first 5 films. And yes, Nightmare 2 counts with that continuous story. After all, it features Nancy's diary that she was never seen writing in the first movie. I didn't feel like doing Innovations on Nightmare on Elm Street The Beginning comic because it's incomplete, so we're gonna shift publishers. That Moarte guy already covered the Marvel Nightmare comic last year too, so that's out. So we're gonna skip ahead to 2005 and Avatar Press. Avatar was mostly known for producing so-called bad girl art, a style that came out as a result of course, early Image Comics' style of exaggerated physical proportions, and basically were routinely pissed off all the time, whether written that way intentionally or just constantly pouting because of crappy artists. However, much like Image, the bulk of their output has been original properties put out by popular creators like Alan Moore, Garth Ennis, and Kieran Gillen. Surprisingly, they actually have very few licensed books, limited pretty much to sci-fi and horror, including, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street. That being said, it's not like they need many licenses on the horror side. A casual look at the stuff they've printed also points out that they've got a lot of books that are on the ickier side of things. Some that have been critically acclaimed, and just as many critically derided for being uber-violent, mean-spirited, what the hell are you even trying to say kind of works. Also, this comic, featuring a guy who looks strangely familiar. I admit, I haven't read a lot of Avatar stuff, but what I have has been iffy. But it's not exactly a searing indictment. After all, how many Marvel and DC comics have I eviscerated on this show, yet still buy stuff from them? Anyway, I kinda screwed up here. Me making a mistake? Since when? I had assumed that the miniseries we were looking at today was a standalone, but in fact it continues on from a Nightmare on Elm Street special. The good news is that, for the most part, it is. Sure, characters from that special are mentioned in the miniseries, but honestly, the relevant plot points are all brought up in the mini without us needing to read the special, so while it might enhance our reading experience to do so, it's really not needed here. So let's dig into A Nightmare on Elm Street, Paranoid #1, and see why you would feel paranoid when there's a guy trying to murder you in your sleep. The cover isn't terrible, but it highlights a problem right away with the art style for the book. Excess. There's overly detailed, and then there's, why do we need to see every strand of fabric in Freddy Krueger's sweater? In some cases it works fine, like with Freddy's skin. In comic art, unless it's supposed to be photorealistic, the more lines on a person's face, the more it ages them. All the detailing on Freddy's face and hand shows off his burns and how messed up they are. But then there's the aforementioned sweater, random dirty blotches on his hat, his glove, and even the metal friggin' claws. And on these fiery spirits that should be scary, especially with the skull-like faces, but you can barely tell the skull-like appearance is there because there are so many detail lines everywhere. You even miss out on the insects that are hidden in it. The excess details make the artwork too busy, and you can't focus on anything because it all becomes one giant magic eye painting. Oh look, a bunny! And it's eating someone's face! There are alternate covers for this thing too, which highlight again overly detailed stuff, but also just comically unnecessary amounts of gore. This wraparound cover is this massive ball of bodies and blood and lines and fire, and I can't focus on anything. Hell, I didn't even notice until later that there were 2 Freddys. Ah, damn it, they got his stunt double in the shot with him. We open in a woman's dreams because, well, Nightmare on Elm Street. Wait a minute, where am I? Man, this new version of This Is Your Life is kinda dark, what with how they just kidnap people. Weston Hills? This makes no sense! Whoa, give it time, lady. We're only on the first page. I'm sure it'll start really not making sense soon. As per the rules of a dream, milk cartons start dropping from the sky. And start talking to her. Claire, help! He's coming! Wait! Don't trust that milk! It's expired! 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Well, that milk carton face isn't very helpful. Those injuries have probably healed by now. Things are not helped by the people in the milk cartons emerging from them and trying to grab her. And then, goats. Just lots of goats emerging from Weston Hills to stampede her. Oh, I get it. This dream is playing on her fear of goat milk. She covers her face from the onslaught of goats, but when she looks again, they're gone, with Weston Hills just having a massive problem with its plumbing given all the water leaking. For those unaware, Weston Hills was the mental institution Nancy worked at in the 3rd movie, and later showed up again in Freddy vs. Jason. These comics came out in 2005, 2 years after Freddy vs. Jason, and given some plot points we'll see later, it's probably taking place after that movie, since the implication there was that Freddy hadn't been a problem there for a while. Anyway, to show that this place is in dire need of renovation, the floor completely falls away and Claire drops onto a nice big pile of guts with a face. A character from the Nightmare on Elm Street special named Sandy. He's back! Freddy's back! He is? Oh my god, we've gotta get tickets to his show! I guess the guts pile was just falling near Claire or something, since she now flies past the severed head of another character from the special. Alex! Hey Claire, want a little head? Ha 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 ha! Well, that just doesn't make any sense. That head is huge! Claire denies her surroundings, saying it isn't real, but she soon comes across another victim from the special, who has been sliced up like ham across her entire body. Said upper body then collapses into a pile of slices and chunks on the ground. Ugh, Freddy, you know, that wouldn't happen if you cooked the meat properly. I thought you were a better cook than this.
You take your eggs, a 1, a 2, a 3. You get some flour, a little sugar. Don't forget the butter.
Claire runs straight into Freddy's arms and good lord! Freddy, what the hell happened to your glove, man? Those things are friggin' huge!
What is with the butternut? You trying to compensate for something?
Apparently, after Freddy used Jason's machete, he was like, "You know, the longer reach really worked well for me. I think I need to redesign things a bit." Anyway, let's see what Freddy has to say. "Hello, Claire! Thank heaven for little girls. I need some help cleaning my claws. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to do that these days. You can call me Uncle Freddy!" I'd say something, but honestly, he's not that far off from being that creepy uncle who leers at you during Christmas. Emily, the main character from the special, shows up to tell Claire to get away, but Claire still can't believe it. "But I thought you died in a car crash." "The newspapers lie! They all lie!" Man, who would have thought that there would be a Freddy Truthers movement? And then suddenly Freddy is a giant mouth eating Claire. It just happened all of a sudden. And then he disappears and she falls to the ground. Look, I get it. Dream Logic has this kind of stuff happen all the time, and in some regards that's portraying that idea very well, except the dreams in Nightmare on Elm Street have to stay consistent for him to prey on his victims. Even ones that he didn't actually intend to kill, or at least just toyed with them for a bit, stayed in a consistent setting. Freddy didn't just randomly disappear while he was trying to eat someone. Also, again with the artwork, Claire is supposed to have dropped down in front of Freddy's house, but I didn't notice that at first because of all these little scratches everywhere make everything blur together. The problem persists in the next panel. Too many lines, too many detail markers make everything look busy and complicated when it really isn't. Just think of the manpower and time that went into inking every single friggin' leaf on this tree. Hell, Claire's not immune from this too. Her jeans are apparently super wrinkled if this shot can be believed. They might have been going for a fan service shot with this, but damned if I can tell considering they made it look like her pants were actually a crumpled up piece of paper. Anyway, Freddy says that the parents of the town told lies about the dead teens to try to protect them from him. What's more, all the kids have been unintentionally taking Hypnosil, the drug in the franchise that suppresses dreams. "I guess Dad ran out, and you and I get to have our little date." Ugh, you're taking me to the pit from Uzumaki again? We never do anything interesting on our dates. "You and me, Claire, it's destiny. Want to know a little about the new man in your life? I like long walks in the snow, and I'm not a fan of the heat. Also, I can binge watch Netflix like nobody's business." Freddy tells his history to her, grows giant-sized again, and then goes back to normal size. Fred Krueger, the original Ant-Man. He informs her after this panel of bad touch that she's going to act as his messenger, tell all the people about him again. And as per Freddy's standard motif, he does a tongue thing. A new one, rather creative at that, where his tongue seems to go into the back of her head and come out her mouth. "You're gonna tell all your friends about me, and all the lies your parents tell. Then they will fear me, and the fear will spread, and I will be all-powerful." And you've given her such a great incentive to do that so far. Claire wakes up in her kitchen, where she was eating cereal. This is what happens when you fall asleep while eating Freddy Kruegeros. Still, gotta love the marshmallow claw gloves. Her father, a policeman, is not happy about this. "Claire, were you sleeping? What did I tell you about sleeping?" "You told me not to, Dad." "That's right, young lady. Now go to bed without eating your meal." Okay, I know that Freddy is correct and the parents are trying to keep their kids from getting attacked by Freddy, but what exactly is the justification that this guy gave her to not sleep? I mean, it's not like sleep is something optional. We need to friggin' sleep. It'd be like telling her she's not allowed to go to the bathroom or breathe. She really doesn't have much choice in the matter. She says she knows why he doesn't want her sleeping and that it's about Freddy. Well, she came around quickly to that, but then again, it's only a 3-issue mini. Gotta get things going somehow. However, he denies it. "I fell asleep, Dad. I met Freddy. I know all about him." Man, is she gonna be disappointed when it turns out she met Sharp Hand Joe. She screams that they need to warn everybody about Freddy, and he finally breaks down and admits that it's true. And there are the lines again. This is clearly supposed to be a bit of a dramatic moment as he pleads with her for her sake. And I'm distracted by his face shriveling up like a raisin. But yeah, he tells her that warning people is the worst thing they can do. Freddy feeds on their fear and knowledge of him, so letting more people know about him is just gonna make the situation worse. And he's right, of course. Mind you, in Freddy vs. Jason, they went so far as to lock people up who knew about him in Weston Hills, including teenagers, which seems like kind of a dick move, but there you go. He makes her swear not to tell her friends and unravel all the work they've done, even having her swear on the grave of her dead mother. You know, Claire, some parents would have been assholes about your clothes and painted nails, and this one just drugs you and lies to you about ghostly serial killers. I think you need to be a bit more appreciative. Speaking of the Hypnosil, apparently the reason Krueger was able to get to her and the kids in the special recently, which, by the way, in order to keep the secret, they let a teenage girl be murdered by him who was going to expose them. Great guys. Was because they had run out of Hypnosil. Fortunately, according to the mayor, a new shipment is coming that night that should last the season. So, like, since Freddy doesn't seem to actually attack the people who burned him to death, just their kids, does that mean he stops appearing to them when they hit 18 or something? I'm just saying, otherwise, how are they gonna keep them drugged for the rest of their lives? Claire meets up with her friends at high school, aka the kill fodder. Tia, the one who looks like Miss White from Clue, notices how one of her friends, Amy, has scratch marks on her arm. I got them helping my mother in the garden.
Ma, these new finger razors make hedge trimming as much fun as sitting through church.
Weird. That reminds me of this dream I had last night. There was this guy with a top hat, a goofy sweater, and butter knives on his hand. He was after me. What do you think it means? It means you don't know what a top hat is, Tia. What the hell are you doing with your hands, Tia? Check out this new workout to prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. Amy's jock boyfriend and his friend, who is apparently a guy straight out of the 80s given his hair and headband, walk up thinking Krueger is a load of crap. Word! What he said! Holler at your boy! Dead. Or at least I hope he will be. Suddenly, a crap ton of arguing breaks out as the jock, named Jake, mocks Tia for her belief in Freddy Krueger, escalating until he mocks her eating disorder. A guy named Carl intercedes to defend her, Jake uses steroids, blah blah blah, setting up the basis for their dreams that Freddy will be using to murder them. Also, while this might have been intentional given casting choices in movies in the 80s and 90s, but none of these people are drawn as if they're high schoolers. Given the crappy artwork on display so far, I am inclined to believe that the artist just can't draw teens. The school security guard breaks up the fight and escorts Tia to the principal's office because of her talking about Freddy. She's told to wait, and does so, since apparently the principal was twiddling his thumbs for at least an hour given this time transition we see over 3 panels. In the dream, a nurse approaches Tia and says she's here to talk to her about her binging and purging, and then starts to melt and decay while Tia starts uncontrollably vomiting. So much so that she nearly drowns in it. You know, this might seem like an unnecessary thing to say, given that this is a comic with an excessive amount of detailing and blood and gore and Freddy Krueger tongue, but ew! Not to mention, this sequence highlights how these creators do not know how to build tension. Of course, as soon as we saw Tia fall asleep, we knew she'd instantly go into a dream. Sure, by this point, once we know it's a dream, they can go all out with Freddy, but you could have built to it better. Instead of showing her laying down, have someone come up and apologize for the principal taking so long, then have the principal bring her in, bring up the bulimia, then have her start vomiting out of control. The visceral reaction and horror are built up because we don't know until that point she's in a dream. It's more shocking and horrific. Instead, she falls asleep on one page, next page she's instantly hit by the ironic death stuff. You would think people who spent so much time drawing and inking that much throwing up would know what patience is. However, Tia doesn't die from that. She suddenly appears in Freddy's boiler room. Cut your tongue, Tia! Wow! You're out of practice, Fred! What the hell was that pun even supposed to be? Takeout! That'll be nice for a change! Wait, Freddy, no! It's Hardee's! Also, again, what the hell is the pun here? Okay, food pun given the bulimia, but he doesn't take anything out of her. It'd be something if he pulled her heart out, but all we see is her getting stabbed. This makes no damn sense. Anyway, in the waking world, Tia is of course dying and coughing up blood, and conveniently, Claire was right outside witnessing her die through a window. She storms out, even though she was outside a second ago.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
And is met by her father. She's outraged about her friend's death and how they need to do something to stop Freddy, and it's at this point that her father admits to her the Hypnosil shipment is coming, and that the kids have been drugged for their own good. Dumb question, but how much Hypnosil do these people actually have? This stuff's effects can't last longer than a few days, and there have got to be hundreds, if not thousands of kids in Springwood. Not just high schoolers, but elementary, middle school, and Hypnosil was still considered an experimental drug not approved by the FDA in Freddy vs. Jason, so I've got to assume there isn't a huge supply of it. And you can't argue that Freddy is only targeting the kids of the ones who burned him, since in the third movie they said that group of less than a dozen were the only ones left. And he long since moved on from there. I can believe that political and economic connections could get the town access to Hypnosil in large quantities. I just question how much of an experimental drug is actually available given how much they would need. At least in Freddy vs. Jason, Hypnosil's existence was limited to just Weston Hills. This comic suggests it's for the entire town. In any event, Claire is naturally pissed off about being drugged and storms off, although not before her dad gives her a case of some Hypnosil in the meantime. The principal and security guard talk to him. "We don't need your daughter going off half-cocked. You remember what happened when your wife did that." That's just code for ran away with mailman. Claire runs into Carl, and she does heed the advice of not talking about Freddy, but she pours out the Hypnosil into Carl's hand. "Carl, take these. Lots of these. Just shove handfuls of medicine down your gullet. That's probably healthy." Later that night, despite half of these teenagers clearly despising each other, they're all gathered together at Claire's house. The teens are, well, not all that shaken up about Tia's death, declared a suicide brought on by pressure put on her to get into an Ivy League school. They're more confused about it than anything else. One teen, Donna, refuses coffee from Claire, and the others realize that all of their parents have been pushing them to drink coffee and caffeine lately. Donna steps out to get some fresh air. "Want some company, Donna? Whoa, baby's got back!" 1, you are clearly 30 years old. 2, why aren't you dead yet? Donna falls asleep on a porch, and Freddy makes her dream she's become the valedictorian, getting her to sleepwalk as well. The others realize that Donna is gone, and Freddy's plan soon becomes clear as the convoy bringing in the Hypnosil starts driving down the road. Also, it's in a big truck conveniently labeled Hypnosil in big letters. Nothing says you're ready for FDA approval more like big advertisements on the sides of trucks. Donna steps right out in front of the convoy, causing them to swerve to try to avoid hitting her. Instead, not only do they still hit her, but the truck overturns right into a gas station, causing it to explode. The teens come running out to the body of Donna, but Claire also realizes that the Hypnosil truck has been destroyed. And so our comic ends with this loving shot of Freddy holding the dead body of Donna in a way to show off her underage cleavage. Classy. And he points his claw right out at the reader. "Ha ha 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 ha! Let the party begin! In 3D!" This comic sucks, but we're not done yet. Come back next week for part 2 of A Nightmare on Elm Street Paranoid, and see if that title actually ends up meaning something. First October episode is in the can. Alright, now, let's see what it's gonna be this year. Still out there, Freddy? I'm ready for ya! Let's dance! Hoyo, have we tested the new protection spell on this place to see if anything can be damaged?
Yes, it seems to be working. Why?
Halloween.
Eliza and I will be down shortly.
Good. It'd be nice to solve this in the first round for once.
You have to keep playing. I love playing this game too much to stop now.
Who are you?
You cling to childish drivel. We will show you power!
No, don't play their game. Play mine.
Linkara, are you alright?
Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna be over so quick.